Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes and home to countless small towns, country churches, and family farms. And it was on one such small family farm in rural Minnesota, a farm that had no running water, that John Howe was born to Richard and Bonnie Howe. It was here that John learned about hard work, faith, and family.
We had 5 kids, 4 boys and 1 girl, and we had a good family. We grew up on a farm, a little 160-acre farm. It was a good, loving family. It's just that we didn't have a lot of money.
I've known John for 40 years. We both grew up on farms, and as we got to know each other, I helped him out on his farm. He came over to help us out on ours, whether we were baling hay or raising pigs. And you get up in the morning and you work all day, you put in 10 hours and you do it all over again. 365 days a year.
John graduated from high school, worked his way through college, and held a variety of jobs from laborer to firefighter.
John has all kinds of jobs, and he's excelled at all his jobs. He was a firefighter out in the West Coast where he was fighting fires and became a leader. He was a prison guard working in St. Cloud as a prison guard. And I think one of his biggest accomplishments that I think that really is John's a tribute to the person is he got into the Sears franchises, and he would buy Sears franchises that were not performing. He was able to go in, meet the people, turn them around, and make them successful, and then sell them back to whoever wanted to buy the store, usually an employee. So he was really phenomenal at being a leader in a business setting.
After working for corporate, John opened and owned his own chain of Sears stores. As John's business grew, so did his family. In 1989, he met Lisa, a beautiful young girl from rural Iowa and successful businesswoman.
John has been in love with Lisa from the first day he met her, and they just hit it off, and they've been very close ever since.
I love John because of his smile. You know, when he smiles at me, I know that that warmth and that love is going to take us, hopefully like his parents or my parents, into our 50th anniversary or our 60th anniversary, that we're going to be beside each other for the rest of our lives.
They soon married and were blessed with children. John loved being a husband and father and spent his free time coaching, helping with homework, or playing catch.
His greatest accomplishment is his family. I mean, you look at our children, you look at what we have, it's his family, number one.
As his family grew, so did his reputation. John was elected mayor of Red Wing, where he reduced spending and saved taxpayer dollars. In 2010, he answered the Republican Party's call to run for state senate. John won a seat that was held by a Democrat for 18 years and soon earned a reputation as a solid conservative.
I think we're very conservative. You can tell just by the way we live our lives, and I think that's the biggest telling thing is how we grew up and how we live very conservatively. We don't spend a lot of money, even though we might have some, but we grew up without any money.
In the state senate, John worked to shrink the footprint of government and restore our liberties. He fought waste, fraud, and abuse, and balanced the state budget despite a $6 billion shortfall without raising taxes. John also passed common sense laws and ended government overreach. He led the effort in the Senate to pass the yellow flashing arrow bill that allows left-hand turns, and authored the church ladies bill that allowed churches to serve meals after events without government interference.
John is pro-life, pro-family, pro-Second Amendment.
John also voted to defend marriage and has a 100% rating with Minnesota Right to Life. He's also an avid sportsman and dedicated to protecting our Second Amendment rights. Today, John is a successful entrepreneur and businessman who owns countless residential and retail properties. John Howe isn't a career politician or political insider. He's a rock-solid conservative who spent his life building a business and raising a family.
Well, John's lived here for as long as I've known him. He goes to church here regularly. His kids go to the public school here in town. He ingrains himself in the community so everyone knows John and likes him.
Faith is important to John. We've had plenty of opportunities to pray together. My background is in parachurch leadership and ministry, and I appreciate the opportunities to pray with John and have meaningful discussions about what the Bible has to say about how God wants us to live and in how we live out that faith. And I've seen that in John, and I greatly appreciate his commitment to Christ.
John is the kind of person that is very passionate, he's caring, whether it's his own family or somebody else's. He's willing to give that extra hand. We've seen each other go through the highs and the lows, and John will step up. My son has cystic fibrosis. John was the first one that got there. He was there for me. That's the kind of guy he is.
A proven conservative, John Howe is the only candidate born and raised in Minnesota who's built a business and raised a family here and lived among the people of the 2nd District. And we can count on John Howe to defend our conservative values, fight for our liberty and freedom from government overreach, and defend our Constitution.